My beloved brothers and sisters, every single one of us will face moments in life where we feel broken, moments where the tears fall silently, moments where the future looks dark, moments where even smiling becomes difficult. But remember something powerful. When Allah puts you in a difficult situation, He has not left you. In fact, sometimes Allah is bringing you closer to Him through that hardship. You know, many people think trust in Allah means your life will always be easy. Trust in Allah means even when life becomes difficult, your heart still says, Ya Allah, I know you are with me. That is true faith. Sometimes Allah closes a door because He knows what is behind it would destroy you. Sometimes Allah delays something because the timing is not right. And sometimes Allah removes people from your life because He heard conversations you never heard. So don't cry over every closed door. Don't break yourself over every delay. Allah sees what you cannot see. My brothers and sisters, the prophets of Allah went through pain too. They cried. They were rejected. They felt sadness. But they never lost trust in Allah. When Prophet Yunus was inside the darkness of the whale, who saved him? Allah. When Prophet Yusuf was abandoned in the well, who raised him to honor? Allah. When Maryam was alone and frightened, who provided for her? Allah. So if Allah helped them in impossible situations, do you think Allah cannot help you? Never underestimate the power of dua. Even when your lips are trembling, keep making dua. Even when your eyes are full of tears, keep raising your hands. Because Allah hears the duas you cannot even put into words. And remember this carefully. Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. That means if Allah chose you for this test, it also means Allah knows you are strong enough to survive it. Subhanallah. Some of you are struggling financially. Some emotionally, some are battling anxiety, heartbreak, loneliness, family problems, sickness or sins they are trying to leave behind. Do not let shaitan convince you that Allah hates you. The fact that your heart still turns to Allah is already a sign of mercy. Keep praying, keep trying, keep repenting, keep trusting. Because one day you will look back at this painful chapter and realize, it was the hardship that brought me closer to Allah. And wallahi, there is no success greater than that. May Allah ease every hardship, heal every wounded heart, forgive our sins, strengthen our iman, and grant us the ability to trust Him in every situation. Ameen. Every hardship that enters our lives carries a wisdom that we may not understand immediately. As human beings, we often judge situations based only on what we can see in front of us. When something painful happens, we ask, why me? We wonder why Allah allowed the difficulty, the heartbreak, the delay, or the loss. But the believer understands something very powerful. Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise. Nothing happens without His knowledge, and nothing happens without a reason. Sometimes Allah removes something from your life because it was harming your soul more than helping your dunya. Sometimes Allah delays your success because your heart is not yet ready for it. Sometimes Allah allows pain because through that pain you will return to Him in a way you never would have during comfort. Think about it carefully. How many people only remember Allah deeply when life becomes difficult? When everything is going well, people become distracted. They become busy with wealth, entertainment, status, and people. But when hardship arrives, suddenly the heart softens. Suddenly the sajda becomes longer. Suddenly the dua becomes sincere. Suddenly tears begin to fall in the middle of the night. And perhaps that connection with Allah is worth more than everything that was taken away. We often think blessings only come in the form of things we enjoy. But sometimes the greatest blessing comes wrapped in hardship. A person may lose a job and think their life is collapsing, but that loss may protect them from arrogance, haram income, or a path that would have destroyed their akhirah. Someone may experience heartbreak and think they will never heal, but perhaps Allah removed that person because they were leading them away from peace, dignity, and faith. Allah sees what we do not see. This dunya was never promised to be perfect. Allah never told us we would live without pain. Even the prophets, the most beloved people to Allah, faced enormous tests. Prophet Ayub suffered illness and loss for years. Prophet Yusuf was betrayed by his own brothers. Prophet Yaqub cried so much over separation from his son that he lost his eyesight. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, Arabic Sada, Arabic Lam, Arabic Alif Maksura, Arabic Alif, Arabic Lam, 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 Arabic mean buried children. Lost loved ones, face rejection, insults and hardship beyond what many of us can imagine. Yet through every test there was wisdom. Sometimes the wisdom is to purify us. Sins weigh heavily on the soul, and hardships can become a means of cleansing. A difficulty that brings you closer to Allah may actually be saving you on the Day of Judgment. Sometimes the wisdom is to teach patience. Sometimes it is to humble us. Sometimes it is to make us stronger, kinder, more understanding toward others who are suffering. And sometimes we may never fully understand the wisdom in this life. That is part of trust. Trust means believing that Allah's plan is better than your own understanding. A child may cry when a doctor gives an injection, not realizing it is meant to heal them. In a similar way, we may dislike certain moments in our lives while Allah knows they are necessary for our growth and protection. The believer does not deny the pain. Islam does not teach us to pretend that suffering feels good. Even the prophets cried. Even they felt sadness. But they never lost hope in Allah's wisdom. They understood that every storm has an ending and every hardship carries lessons, rewards, and hidden mercy. So what? When life becomes difficult, do not immediately assume Allah is punishing you or abandoning you. Perhaps Allah is preparing you. Perhaps Allah is protecting you. Perhaps Allah is elevating your rank through patience. Perhaps the very hardship you hate today will become the reason you stand closer to Allah tomorrow. One day, maybe years from now, you may look back at your darkest moment and say, now I understand why Allah allowed it to happen. And even if you never fully understand in this dunya, know with certainty that Allah never wastes the pain of a believer. Every tear is counted. Every prayer is heard. Every hardship carries wisdom, even when the heart struggles to see it. One of the most comforting realities a believer can hold on to is this. Being tested does not mean Allah has abandoned you. In fact, sometimes the tests in your life are a sign that Allah wants good for you. This is difficult for the human mind to accept because we naturally associate love with ease and comfort. We think that if Allah loves someone, their life should be free from pain. But when we look at the lives of the prophets and the righteous people before us, we realize the opposite is often true. People most beloved to Allah face the greatest tests. Look at the life of our beloved Prophet Muhammad. Arabic Sada, Arabic Lam, Arabic Lif Maksura, Arabic Lif, Arabic Lam, 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 Arabic Li. He lost his father before he was even born. He lost his mother as a child. He buried many of his own children. He was mocked, rejected, insulted, attacked, and driven out of his homeland. There were days when he tied stones to his stomach from hunger. Yet he was the most beloved creation to Allah. So hardship cannot automatically mean that Allah hates someone. Sometimes hardship is actually a sign that Allah is raising a person's status and drawing them closer. Allah tests people in different ways because every soul is different. Some people are tested through loss, some through sickness, some through loneliness, some through family problems, betrayal, financial struggle, anxiety, or delayed dreams. The test itself is not always the important thing. What matters is how the person responds to it. A test can either push a person toward Allah or away from Him. The believer tries to turn toward Allah even while struggling. And this is where faith becomes truly beautiful. Anyone can worship Allah when life is perfect. But the person who still prays while their heart is hurting, the person who still says Alhamdulillah while carrying pain inside, the person who still trusts Allah after disappointment, that person has understood something deep about Iman. Sometimes Allah tests you because He wants to hear your voice in dua. Subhanallah. Think about that. There are two things you make during hardship that would never come from your heart during times of ease. There is sincerity that comes from pain. There is closeness that comes from brokenness. When a servant raises their hands in the middle of the night with tears falling from their eyes, calling upon Allah with complete dependence, that moment is precious in the sight of Allah. And sometimes the hardship itself protects you. A delayed opportunity may save you from destruction. A painful ending may save your future. A closed door may protect your Iman. We become upset because we only see the present moment, but Allah sees the entire picture. He knows what would have happened if certain things had entered our lives. The danger today is that many people compare themselves to others and misunderstand the reality of this dunya. They see someone wealthy, successful, smiling, and assume that person is more loved. Edited by Allah. But outward comfort is not always a sign of closeness to Allah. Sometimes ease can distract a person from their purpose. And sometimes hardship awakens the soul. The believer understands that tests are temporary, but the reward from Allah can be eternal. Every moment of patience is recorded. Every tear is known by Allah. Even the silent pain you never explain to anyone is seen by Him. There are people walking around carrying wounds nobody knows about. They smile in front of others while struggling inside. Yet Allah knows every hidden battle. He knows the nights you cried. He knows the fear in your heart. He knows the effort you are making just to keep going. And Allah never overlooks the struggle of a believer. When Allah tests you, it does not mean you are weak. Sometimes it means Allah sees strength in you that you do not yet see in yourself. A difficult test can build a stronger connection with Allah, a softer heart, greater patience and deeper wisdom. So never think your hardship means Allah has forgotten you. The fact that you still turn to Him, still pray, still hope in Him despite your pain, that itself is a sign of mercy. Hold on to Allah during the difficult old days, because the one who tested you is also the one who can heal you, guide you, and bring ease after every hardship. Patience is one of the most misunderstood qualities in life. Many people think patience means doing nothing, remaining silent without emotion, or accepting pain without feeling hurt. But true patience in Islam is much deeper and much stronger than that. Patience is not weakness. Patience is strength under pressure. It is the ability to continue obeying Allah even when life becomes difficult. It is the courage to keep moving forward while carrying pain that nobody else can see. Anyone can remain positive when everything is going well. Anyone can smile when life is easy. But the real test of character appears when things begin to fall apart. When your heart is heavy, when your plans fail, when people disappoint you, when life becomes unfair and yet you still turn to Allah instead of turning away from Him, that is strength. Sometimes patience means holding back anger when you have every reason to explode. Sometimes patience means remaining honest when cheating would benefit you. Sometimes patience means lowering your gaze in a world full of temptation. Some implies patience means continuing your salah even when your heart feels exhausted. And sometimes patience simply means surviving one more day while trusting Allah with your pain. The strongest people are not always the loudest people. Some of the strongest souls are those who cry privately at night and still wake up in the morning with faith in Allah. There are people carrying burdens nobody knows about. They smile in front of others while fighting silent battles inside. Yet they continue praying, continue trying. That quiet endurance is beloved to Allah. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, Arabic Sada, Arabic Lam, Arabic Laf Maksura, Arabic Laf, Arabic Lam, 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 Arabic Mim, showed incredible patience throughout his life. He faced rejection from his own people. He was insulted, mocked, and physically harmed. At Tef, stones were thrown at him until his sandals filled with blood. Imagine that moment. Imagine the pain, not only physical but emotional. Yet he did not respond with hatred or revenge. Instead, he turned to Allah. That is real strength. Patience does not mean you never feel sadness. Even Prophet Yaqub cried deeply over the loss of Yusuf. Even our Prophet, Arabic Sada, Arabic Lam, Arabic Alif Maksura, Arabic Alif, Arabic Lam, Arabic Lam, Arabica, Arabic Ain, Arabic Lam, Arabicat, Arabica, Arabica, Arabic Sin, Arabic Lam, Arabic Mim, shed tears when loved ones passed away. Islam does not ask us to become emotionless. It teaches us to control ourselves in a way that pleases Allah even while we are hurting. One of the greatest forms of patience is remaining firm in your faith when your life is not going the way you planned. Sometimes you make dua for years and still do not see the answer. Sometimes you try your best and still face setbacks. Shaitan whispers, what is the point? But patience means you continue trusting Allah even when the results are delayed. The world today encourages instant satisfaction. People want quick success, quick happiness, quick answers. But Allah teaches us that some of the most beautiful things require patience. A seed does not become a tree overnight. Rain does not fall every single day. Even after the darkest night, the sun rises slowly. In the same way, healing, growth, and relief often take time. Patience also protects a believer from making destructive decisions during emotional moments. Many regrets happen because people act without patience. Angry words destroy relationships. Impulsive choices create lifelong consequences. But the patient person pauses, reflects, and seeks Allah's guidance before reacting. And Allah never lets patience go unrewarded. Every month, resist sin for His sake. Every tear you hold back, every hardship you endure with faith, every act of self-control, Allah sees all of it. People may not understand your struggle, but Allah does. And His reward is greater than anything this dunya can offer. Sometimes Allah delays ease because He is building you into a stronger person. A person who has never struggled may remain weak inside. But hardship combined with patience shapes the soul. It teaches humility, compassion, resilience, and dependence upon Allah. So do not think patience is passive. Patience is an active form of worship. It is choosing faith over despair. It is choosing discipline over temptation. It is choosing hope over hopelessness. And perhaps one of the most beautiful forms of patience is when a person says through tears and pain, Ya Allah, I still trust you. That is not weakness. That is strength of the highest level. Dua is one of the greatest gifts Allah has given to the believer. It is more than words spoken by the tongue. It is a direct connection between the servant and the Creator. It is the moment when the heart speaks honestly to Allah without barriers, without pretense and without effort. Many people think dua is only about asking Allah to change a situation. But sometimes the first thing dua changes is the heart itself. There are moments in life when a person feels completely helpless. The doctors may not have answers. The people around you may not understand your pain. The situation may seem impossible. Yet even in those moments, the believer still has something powerful. The ability to raise their hands and call upon Allah. Subhanallah, what an honor it is that the Creator of the heavens and the earth allows us to speak to Him directly. You do not need an appointment. You do not need perfect words. You do not need to hide your weakness. Allah already knows what is inside your heart, yet He still loves hearing your dua. Sometimes people become discouraged when they do not see immediate results. They make dua for months or years and begin wondering whether Allah is listening. But the problem is that we often imagine dua works according to our timing, while Allah responds according to His wisdom. Allah hears every single dua, but the answer may come in different ways. Sometimes Allah gives you exactly what you asked for. Sometimes He delays it because the timing is not yet right. Sometimes He gives you something better. And sometimes He removes harm from your life without you even realizing it. The believer trusts that no sincere dua is ever wasted. One of the beautiful things about dua is that it softens the heart. A person who constantly makes dua becomes more aware of their dependence upon Allah. Pride begins to disappear because hardship reminds us how weak we truly are without Him. Through dua, a person learns humility, sincerity, and trust. There are people who only turn to Allah when life becomes difficult. And although hardship is painful, perhaps that hardship became the reason they finally developed a real connection with Allah. Before the test, their prayers may have been rushed and distracted. But after the test, they begin crying in sujood. They begin speaking to Allah with sincerity. They begin finding comfort in worship. The hardship changes the heart before it changes the situation. And sometimes that inner change is the greatest miracle of all. Imagine someone who once felt distant from Allah suddenly waking up for tahajjud. Imagine a person who never made dua before now raising their hands with sincerity. That transformation itself is a mercy from Allah. Dua also reminds us that no situation is too difficult for Allah. Human beings focus on limitations, but Allah's power has no limits. He can change situations in ways we cannot imagine. He can open doors that seem permanently closed. He can heal hearts that seem permanently broken. He can replace fear with peace, sadness with joy, and confusion with clarity. Never underestimate the power of a sincere dua made from a broken heart. Sometimes Allah delays the answer because He loves your closeness to Him. Think about that carefully. During hardship, you may call upon Allah more sincerely than ever before. Your heart becomes attached to Him. Your dependence upon Him increases. And perhaps Allah wants to keep drawing you closer through those moments of worship. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, Arabic Sada, Arabic Lam, Arabic Life Maksura, Arabic Life, Arabic Lam, Arabic Lam, Arabic Lam, Arabic Lam, Arabic Lam, Arabic Lam. Arabic Lam, Arabic Lam, Arabic Lam, Arabic Meme constantly made dua, even though he was the best of creation. This teaches us that dua is not only for desperate situations, it is part of a believer's daily life. We ask Allah during ease and hardship, during happiness and sadness, because we recognize that everything is in His control. And never think your sins make you unworthy of make. In dua, Shaitan loves convincing people that they are too sinful to turn back to Allah. But Allah's mercy is greater than your mistakes. Keep asking, keep repenting, keep raising your hands no matter how many times you fall. There may be nights when you cry while making dua and nothing seems to change immediately. But never think those tears are unnoticed. Allah sees every tear, hears every whisper, and knows every hidden pain. Sometimes the situation changes quickly. Sometimes it changes slowly. And sometimes Allah changes you first, making your heart stronger, calmer, wiser, and closer to Him before the external problem disappears. That is the beauty of dua. It does not only transform circumstances, it transforms souls. One of the most dangerous things a believer can lose is hope in Allah. A person may lose wealth, opportunities, relationships, or comfort, but as long as they still have hope in Allah's mercy, they still possess something powerful. Shaitan works very hard to make people hopeless, because once a person loses hope, they begin to feel spiritually empty. They stop making dua, stop trying, stop believing that things can improve. But Islam teaches us that no matter how dark life becomes, a believer must never despair of Allah's mercy. Hope in Allah is not based on how perfect your life looks. It is based on who Allah is. Allah is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. He is Al-Latif, the most gentle. He is Al-Atil, the best disposer of affairs. When a believer understands these names deeply, they realize that even during hardship, Allah's mercy is still surrounding them in ways they cannot fully see. Sometimes life pushes people to their limits. A person may face years of hardship, disappointment, sickness, loneliness, financial struggle, or emotional pain. They begin wondering whether things will ever change. But this is exactly when hope becomes an act of worship. Continuing to trust Allah during difficult times is one of the strongest signs of Aman. Look at the story of Prophet Yaqub. He was separated from his beloved son Yusuf for many years. The pain was so intense that he cried until he lost his eyesight. Yet despite all that suffering, he never lost hope in Allah. He continued believing that Allah's plan was greater than what he could understand at that moment. And eventually Allah reunited him with Yusuf in a way beyond imagination. This teaches us something beautiful. Delay does not mean denial. Just because relief has not arrived yet does not mean Allah has forgotten you. Many people today lose hope because they compare their lives to others. Social media makes this even worse. People see others smiling, traveling, succeeding, getting married, becoming wealthy, and they begin feeling left behind. But we only see the outside of people's lives. We do not see their hidden struggles, fears, or tests. Everyone is carrying something. And sometimes Allah delays certain blessings because He is preparing you for them. A person may desperately want something today that would actually harm them if they received it too early. Allah's timing is always wiser than our impatience. Hope in Allah also means believing that no sin is too great for His mercy. There are people who think they have made too many mistakes to return to Allah. Shaitan whispers to them, "You are too far gone." But this is a lie. Allah's mercy is bigger than every sin you have committed. As long as a person is alive, the door of repentance remains open. Think about how many people completely transformed their lives after years of mistakes. Some people were once drowning in sin, yet Allah guided them, purified their hearts, and raised their status. Never underestimate what Allah can do for a sincere servant who turns back to Him. Even when life feels empty, Allah can create ease from places you never expected. Sometimes one phone call changes everything. One dua changes everything. One moment of sincerity changes everything. Allah is capable of opening doors that no human being could ever open. And hope does not mean pretending life is easy. A believer can cry and still have hope. A believer can feel pain and still trust Allah. Hope means that deep inside your heart, despite all the struggle, you still believe that Allah's mercy is greater than your situation. There are people who survive situations they once thought would destroy them. At the time they felt broken and overwhelmed. But later they realized Allah was carrying them through every difficult moment. Sometimes we only recognize Allah's wisdom after the storm has passed. The believer understands that this dunya is temporary. No sadness lasts forever. No hardship remains forever. Even the longest night eventually ends. Allah reminds us repeatedly in the Quran that ways comes with hardship. Not after hardship alone, but with it. This means even during painful moments there are hidden forms of mercy present. Perhaps the hardship brought you closer to Allah. Perhaps it softened your heart. Perhaps it taught you gratitude, patience, compassion, or sincerity. These are gifts many people never develop during comfort. So never allow despair to settle in your heart. Keep making dua. Keep praying. Keep trusting Allah even when you cannot yet see the outcome. Because a believer's story is never over as long as Allah's mercy remains. And Allah's mercy never ends. One of the most comforting promises Allah gives to the believer is that hardship never lasts forever. No matter how heavy the pain feels today, no matter how long the struggle has continued, ease will eventually come. This is not simply positive thinking or empty motivation. It is a promise from Allah Himself. And when Allah promises something, it is certain. Human beings often feel trapped in their current emotions. When sadness stays for a long time, it begins to feel permanent. When problems continue one after another, people start thinking, will life always be like this? Question mark. But the believer reminds themselves that this dunya constantly changes. Happiness changes. Circumstances change. People change. Difficulties also change. No storm lasts forever. Think about the night. No matter how dark it becomes, morning always arrives. The darkness may feel endless while you are inside it, but the sun still rises at the exact time Allah has written for it. In the same way, ease arrives at the moment Allah knows is best, even if we cannot yet see it approaching. Many of the people you admire today once stood in places of deep pain. Some were heartbroken. Some were financially struggling. Some felt lost, anxious, or completely hopeless. But Allah changed their condition. And Allah is fully capable of changing yours as well. Sometimes we expect ease to come in the exact form we imagined. We ask Allah for one specific outcome, but Allah may send relief through a different door entirely. A person may lose one opportunity only for Allah to open something far greater later on. Someone may cry over a relationship ending, then later realize that ending protected them from years of pain. Allah's wisdom goes beyond our limited understanding. One of the reasons hardship feels so heavy is because human beings want immediate answers. We want instant relief. We want things to improve quickly. But Allah teaches us patience because some forms of growth cannot happen overnight. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Strong roots develop deep beneath the surface before a tree becomes visible above the ground. In the same way, Allah may be strengthening your heart during the difficult period before the ease arrives. Sometimes the ease itself is not only external. Sometimes Allah first brings ease into the heart. A person may still have challenges in life, but Allah fills their chest with peace, patience, and trust. And that inner peace becomes stronger than the hardship itself. Subhanallah, there are people who have very little in this dunya, yet their hearts feel calm because they are close to Allah. And there are people who possess wealth, fame, and comfort, yet still feel empty inside. Real ease is not only about circumstances, it is about the condition of the heart. The believer learns to survive difficult times by remembering Allah's promises. Every painful chapter has an ending written by Allah. Every tear is temporary. Every hardship carries an expiration date known only to Him. This does not mean the believer stops trying. Islam teaches balance. We trust Allah while also making effort. We continue making dua, working hard, seeking halal solutions, and taking responsible steps forward. But through all of it, we keep our hearts attached to Allah instead of drowning in despair. There are moments in life when Allah delays relief because He is teaching lessons that comfort could never teach. Hardship can soften arrogant hearts. It can bring families closer together. It can awaken sincerity in worship. It can remind people how much they truly need Allah. Many people discover their strongest connection with Allah during the hardest times of their lives. And when ease finally comes, the believer appreciates it in a way they never would have before. A person who experienced hunger values food differently. A person who experienced loneliness values companionship differently. A person who survives sadness values peace differently. Never think your current struggle is your final destination. Allah can change your situation faster than you imagine. One moment can transform everything. One sincere dua can change the course of your life. One act of patience can bring blessings you never expected. Even if you cannot see the solution today, trust that Allah is already preparing tomorrow. Your responsibility is not to know the future, your responsibility is to keep trusting the one who controls it. So when life becomes heavy, remind yourself again and again, this difficulty is temporary. This pain will not last forever. Allah did not create hardship without also creating relief. And perhaps the ease approaching you is greater than anything you lost along the way. Hold on to Allah during the dark nights, because the dawn always comes by His command. My beloved brothers and sisters, life will test every one of us. There will be days of happiness and days of hardship, moments of clarity and moments of confusion. But through every season of life, one thing must remain firm in our hearts. Trust in Allah. When hardship comes, remember that Allah has wisdom behind it. When the pain feels heavy, remember that Allah never abandons His servants. When the road becomes difficult, be patient, because patience is a sign of strength, not weakness. Keep making dua even when the answer feels delayed, because Allah hears Eve. Dry whisper of your heart. Never lose hope in His mercy, no matter how broken you feel. And always remember that ease will come, because Allah's promise never fails. Sometimes the test changes your life. Sometimes the test changes your heart. And perhaps the greatest success is not that the hardship disappeared, but that through the hardship you became closer to Allah. This dunya was never meant to be perfect. It is a temporary journey filled with lessons, struggles, and opportunities to grow in faith. The believer is not the one who never falls or never cries. The believer is the one who keeps returning to Allah no matter how many storms come their way. So if you are struggling today, do not give up. Allah sees you. Allah knows your pain. Allah hears the du'as you make in silence when nobody else understands what you are carrying inside. And maybe right now, while you are worrying about tomorrow, Allah is already preparing an ease that will make you forget the pain you once cried over. Keep trusting Him. Keep praying. Keep walking toward Him even with a tired heart, because the one who brought you this far will never leave you alone. May Allah fill our hearts with patience, STR. Lengthen our trust in Him, forgive our sins, ease our hardships, and grant us peace in this life and eternal happiness in the hereafter. Ameen.